Guys, let's hop right in and talk about this story.
Yeah.
What did you think about what we saw in the beta?
You want to start?
Well, I thought the story was serviceable. I thought it did a very good job of getting you to your base, which is kind of the jumping off point for the whole progression structure of the game. So that was cool. Other than that, I feel like it falls under the category, at least in the beta, of serviceable.
It's okay. Like, it didn't have those hooks that really, like, oh, I want to know what happens with that character or this character. It was just kind of like, all right, yeah, New York's messed up. Brandon, you actually got to play some later game stuff. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so we went to Sweden a couple months ago to do a big blowout on the Division for IGN First. You can, by the way, you can find all that at go.ign.com/The Division. But yeah, so I played some later game stuff, and I found the story to sort of follow along the same lines about what we saw in the beta, right? What we saw in the beta was very much the beginning. It was building up these 3 separate arcs that Massive has already confirmed will sort of drive the gameplay experience. Your tech arc, where you rescue that guy, and your security arc, and then your medical arc, where you go. For those of you that played the beta, the medical arc was where you rescued the doctor, and then brought her back, and you unlocked the wing. So what I like about the Division so far is that the story arc sort of supports the power climbing gameplay, because as you're completing story missions, you're unlocking the resources to earn more of your base.
The other thing I thought it did a really good job of is setting the atmosphere tone. I definitely felt as though this was a post-virus ravaged New York, and I think the story kind of catered to that. And I think the atmosphere in this game, especially for an MMO, is pretty good. I have to say, I quite like it.
Yeah, I think the city building that they did. We talked to several developers about sort of the things that they did in New York City, like the research that went into them. One of them almost got in a fight with a homeless man for taking a picture of him.
Yeah.
They talked to the crazy pigeon lady as well.
Sounds just like San Francisco.
Yeah. There's a really cool article on IGN right now called "The 11 Little Details," I think, something like that, that we noticed in the Division, and it's full of just all these awesome stories about how they went in and crafted New York City. Like, they ran traffic simulations to find out in like an emergency situation when cars are just, there's this exodus of cars out of the city, where the traffic jam's going to happen, where are people going to get stuck, where are they going to abandon their cars and go on foot. So there's this sort of like really authentic, I mean, you can't say it's authentic because we've never seen it happen before, but this really believable atmosphere of like a city sort of in the grips of disaster, right? And that propels this single player story that we're finding, just the beginning of, just the tip of the iceberg of in the beta.
For me, everything you're talking about is, it sounds fantastic, like the fact that they considered all these things, but it's not core narrative. It's like fantastic game design elements that they were really paying attention to and stuff like that. And people like the Ninja Turtles Easter egg in the game, for example. And
Which
cool
I actually haven't seen that yet.
Cool little nods like that. There's a video on IGN that I made, showing it off.
Just plugging all our own content right now.
Links here.
We're a little bit excited about the Division, if you can't tell.
Did you play the mission where you have to find the sister of the kind of strike coordinator?
Oh, no, I did
that
not.
was
It was a long.
Heather Lau?
Yeah, Heather Lau. That was
I played part 1.
That was the most heavy narrative, and it was basically going to all these different sites, which again did a good job of building atmosphere.
Sure.
However, it ended up just being looking at these echoes, which I think are like cool the first time you look at them, and then you're like, I really don't want to bother with this.
Yeah.
Although I will say the final echo of that, you see a guy climbing up a ladder, and you see the sister at the top of the ladder, so you end up just walking up that ladder, and sure enough, she's killed the guy. Spoilers. It's like one of the first missions you get. So
well, she hit him over the head with a guitar, so yeah, that'll do it.
Yes. Did you guys feel like emotionally gripped by that scene?
Absolutely not.
No, it was just kind of like, I want to get through this to get the XP. But I mean, I'm really hoping for myself. I'm a big PvE player. I like to go in and experience those stories. This game is going to be compared to Destiny, and Destiny really did not have that in the vanilla product.
Sure. Right.
There were a few things that kind of got us hopeful for something better, but it just never happened.
Right.
I'm really hoping Division has at least a few of those side stories that really, really engage us.
Well, I mean, if you look at games like World of Warcraft or other MMOs, and if you were to ask somebody, is the story of World of Warcraft good? It's like, well, there's so many, right? So it's this massive, sprawling world, so you can kind of pick and choose the little arcs you want to go off on. The Arthas storyline is fantastic.
Sure.
The Thrall storyline, the Ragnaros. So I hope to see those kinds of things in the Division in terms of, I was really invested in this one character storyline, and it concluded in a nice way. And since the game is persistent, they can continue to introduce those as time goes on.
Having said that, though, these characters in World of Warcraft that you're describing are larger than life.
It's true.
With huge personalities and huge history. And maybe it is just the sort of 4 or 5 hour slice of the beta that we played, but like I don't know who Fei Lao is. I don't personally care. That might come into play more as her story sort of comes into frame, but she had this sort of her version of like this impassioned speech in the beginning about how this is my city and this is my people. And again, it might just been like symptoms of the beta, but it wasn't particularly gripping for me. What I was much more interested in are the 3 different story arcs, the wings, you know, going,
Right.
If you play the first beta, like we were saying, you find Dr. Catherine, I think her name was, but you bring her back. In the second beta, the open beta, you went into the subway system, into the underground that has sort of been converted into the morgue.
The tech dude.
And you
He's
find
real,
the tech dude, the foul-mouthed,
real foul mouth.
yeah, grizzly.
Sure, but I don't remember his name. You know, that's
From
maybe the
afar,
most
he looked a
memorable
lot
character.
like Aiden Pierce.
A little bit, yeah. He did.
The hat, the coat.
He did. I've actually gotten a few Watch Dogs hits from my time in the division. You know,
Yeah.
we played the beta probably 12, 15 hours, I would say. And there's a lot of like little similarities. But, you know, even beyond that, it's just I think Ubisoft, what they do really well is just make living cities, you know, make huge open world areas. And so maybe there's the reminiscence comes from that, where it's just like sort of a believable, you know, Watch Dogs had a sort of one-to-one rendition of Chicago, and the Division is a one-to-one rendition of New York.
Totally, like
And
Mike
again, one-to-one.
Aransky,
Yeah.
somebody from New York. He comes over. He's like, "Oh, you're in Chelsea."
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, I don't know where I am. He's like, "Yeah," and I look on my map. Sure enough, I'm at like the exact cross street he's talking about.
Wow.
And he's like, "Oh my God, this is so cool."
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty neat for New Yorkers, especially. For
Yeah.
me, I just like playing in this destroyed city.
I think a lot of the character and personality of the Division is going to come from New York City itself. I don't know how that relates to people who don't want to stop and take the time and smell the garbage or whatever. You know?
Smell the garbage.
Like the people who just want to plow through the story and get your level cap on there and then get into the dark zone and get your high-end weapons and then just start wrecking other players.
That's exactly how I like my decade or more of MMO. I guess training or experience just kicked in, and I was like, I don't care about any of this. I'm min-maxing all the way, and it's interesting. I wonder if other players that come from different genres and shooters and like older Tom Clancy games, and not necessarily from an MMO background, are going to approach it the same way, or if they're going to kind of take their time to smell the garbage.
You talked about those wings before.
the wings.
The different wings,
3,
like
sure,
tech,
yeah.
medical. What wing should people unlock first, in your opinion?
Oof, I mean that's.
It's kind of about your play
like choosing
style.
your child.
For you, which will you pick?
For me, I'm more of a tech guy. I really like the stuff that goes boom. I love that turret. I love the smart bomb, the seeker mine, especially the one that breaks off. If you
tracks.
If you go to IGN.com, we've got the full tech skill tree walkthrough, and so you'll see there's one that like breaks apart and just there's a bomb that goes to everybody like in the area.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, that's the one I want. Having said that, the medical wing is huge. You've got the heal. I mean, anybody who played the beta who was in the dark zone
You use it.
knows that, like, oh crap, I'm out of med packs now, or med kits, now I have to run away. But that heal comes in so handy.
Right. It's
And-
AoE as well. It hits friends.
Yeah. And you
aim
can spec it out so that it revives players who are down. So your buddy goes down by some other players, you revive them suddenly, you know? There's also like a med station that you drop and it just heals everybody in the area. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there.
You're like the healer.
Yeah, you're basically the support character, you know? And we've got some footage of that on the site too.
But that second perk is what's so cool because you can be a healer, but you get that second option.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
where you
So-
can have a turret.
Yeah, if you want to go, and I think by level cap with, by the time you get to the highest level and you've had time to go through and collect all your resources, because once you unlock the wing, unlocking extra perks are all tied to your base. So you buy the first aid station and then that unlocks a new skill in the medical wing, right? And so by the time you've hit level cap, you have enough resources to sort of unlock everything. So yeah, you can go, I have a heal that revives down players, but I also have my mine that lays down napalm when it explodes. So you can kind of pick and choose and mix and match what you want. But I think the real strength is going to come from you picking a play style and then supporting your other friends picking their play styles. Like this game doesn't force you into the holy trinity of the healer, the tank, and the DPS character.
Well, you say that. It doesn't at the start, but I would speculate that towards the end, when you start getting gear that is specifically tailored for one or another skill, or tailored for cooldown reduction,
you're going to set your
skill
perks.
power.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like Diablo 3. Like Diablo 3, you can change your skills at any time you want in the game. But if I have a 6-piece set of the Immortal Kings, I'm going to be using a specific skill that correlates with that, or I'm going to be getting no value out of that.
And that's my point that I was going to make, is that though it doesn't force you into those roles, it absolutely benefits you to have a guy that is close quarters, that has a shotgun, that is soaking up all the threats so people are shooting at him. And it absolutely makes sense that you have a healer that can do long-range revives, and a marksman or whatever in the back with a rifle that is like throwing turrets and bombs and just, you know, picking people off with headshots. Like, it makes sense to have all those pieces on the board at once.
That's what's really exciting. You can go through a whole encounter, then near the end, you're like, all right, everybody get your turrets.
Yeah.
Equipped.
Right, yeah.
So everybody has a turret, nuke,
Yeah.
you know, you nuke one enemy. It's going to be really, really cool to see.
Yeah, when those bosses, like, bosses will walk up to turrets and just stomp on them, but you throw one behind him and then one to the right of him, one to the left of him, and he's just going to be kind
I
of...
definitely think there will be optimal PvE loadouts as well as PvP loadouts that are totally separate. I think that it's a scenario where part of your progression is going to be you just need all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Except for maybe, I don't know, the security wing was very lackluster. That being said, we only got
For
the
now.
shield, which was like a tiny little slice of it. But yeah, I was not impressed. I think I maybe saw the shield once, somebody using it at like level 5 or something.
Accidentally.
And then, yeah, right. Like, no, I don't want this.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can do. The security wing can do. You can, like, buy a shield that is 2 spaces wide, so you and another person can hide behind it.
Cover and
or you
things like
can.
That'll be really good for PvE.
Yeah, or you can get a skill that when you're hiding behind cover, it what does it do? It pops. It strengthens your cover, so you take less.
Right, I saw that. It's like
You
a
don't.
little
Yeah,
character
you don't
buff.
get suppressed and stuff like that. So it's like defensive capabilities. It looks pretty interesting.
We talked a lot about gameplay, but core narrative-wise, I think we're all kind of like, we're not sure. We're optimistic, but we're not sure what to expect, and we're going to wait to play the full game.